Everyone slept on Stellar XLM, but everything just changed. While the world was busy chasing meme coins, hyping vaporware projects, and celebrating blue-chip NFTs that are now worth less than gas fees, Stellar was moving in silence. No fireworks. No headlines. No empty promises. Just precise, calculated moves behind the scenes that are about to explode onto the main stage. And almost nobody is ready for it. For months, Stellar's price action looked dead. Flatline. Boring. Meanwhile, projects that barely even worked were rocketing up in hype cycles fueled by zero fundamentals. And that's exactly why so many people missed what was really happening. Because real moves aren't made when the spotlight is shining. They're made in the shadows. And now, the shadows are lifting. Price is waking up. Volume is creeping higher. Heavyweight institutions, the same ones that ignored Stellar for years, are suddenly paying attention. Even some of Ethereum's loudest maximalists are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. And it's not because of some clever marketing campaign. It's not because of a billionaire tweet. It's because something fundamental has shifted at the core of Stellar's ecosystem, and that shift is setting the stage for what could be one of the most violent repricings in crypto. If you still think Stellar is just another payments coin, stuck in 2017, you're about to be seriously caught off guard. Because what's unfolding right now isn't a trend. It's a transformation. Stellar has spent the last 2 years rebuilding its foundation, upgrading its tech stack, and forging partnerships that most crypto projects couldn't even get a meeting for. This isn't about hype. It's not about memes. It's about positioning, strategic, patient, ruthless positioning, for when the real money finally flows into blockchain infrastructure. And based on everything we're seeing, from the surge in Soroban deployments to the quiet expansion of Stellar's real-world financial integrations, that moment isn't coming someday. It's already here. So if you're still sleeping on XM, it's time to wake up. Because Stellar's next chapter isn't just different from the past, it rewrites the entire narrative. And once the broader market catches on, the opportunity window will slam shut. We're about to break it all down. How Stellar set the trap, why Soroban is the secret weapon, how institutions are moving in, and why $3 plus XLM is no longer a moonshot fantasy, but a calculated probability. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button so you never miss what's actually happening behind the scenes in crypto, and so you stay 10 steps ahead of the herd. Let's dive in. The silent build, how Stellar set the trap. For years, Stellar was written off as boring. While Ethereum captured headlines with billion-dollar NFT sales and wild DeFi summers, and while Solana crashed and rebounded amid drama and outages, Stellar quietly kept its head down. No flashy partnerships. No pump-and-dump cycles. No celebrity endorsements. Just building. What most people missed is that Stellar wasn't chasing hype. They were building infrastructure, regulatory compliant, battle-tested, enterprise-grade infrastructure designed for when crypto finally went mainstream. While most layer ones fought over deegans and yield farmers, Stellar was forming relationships with banks, central banks, fintechs, remittance companies, and governments. They worked with MoneyGram to create one of the largest fiat-to-crypto ramps in the world, spanning 180-plus countries. They collaborated with the Ukrainian government on CBDC prototypes. They prepared for a world where compliance isn't optional, and they designed their new smart contract platform, Soroban, with that future in mind. While other projects fought over the scraps of the 2021 bull run, Stellar was positioning itself for something much bigger, becoming the backbone of tokenized real-world finance. And now, the pieces are finally snapping into place. The silent build, how Stellar set the trap. For years, Stellar was written off as boring. While Ethereum grabbed headlines with billion-dollar NFT sales and deegans screaming about cartoon JEGs, while Solana melted down under the weight of its own congestion and needed bailout after bailout, Stellar just stayed silent. No flashy partnerships announced on crypto Twitter. No hyped-up token launches or pump-and-dump ICOs. No celebrity endorsements flexing limbos paid for by gullible retail investors. Just building. Relentlessly. And because there weren't fireworks every week, most people assumed Stellar was dead. They thought the project was stuck in the past, Another 2017 relic clinging to old dreams. But what they didn't realize is that Stellar wasn't trying to win the attention war. They were playing an entirely different game, building the rails for the real money. The money that doesn't care about memes. The money that doesn't chase viral tweets. The money that moves quietly until it moves everything. While layer ones like Solana, Avalanche, and Polygon fought each other for scraps of the Deegan economy, desperately trying to attract another overhyped NFT mint or the next sushi swap, Stellar was methodically locking in partnerships with the players that actually matter. Banks, central banks, fintech giants, global remittance companies, payment infrastructure providers. They weren't building for traders. They were building for nations. Case in point, while everyone was chasing the latest Ethereum killer, Stellar partnered with MoneyGram to create one of the largest fiat-to-crypto on-ramps on the planet. Over 180 countries now have access to seamless, near-instant cash-to-crypto services, thanks to that deal. That's not speculation. That's infrastructure. Stellar also quietly worked with the Ukrainian government to pilot CBDC prototypes. Long before most people even knew what a CBDC was, they were already positioning themselves as the go-to blockchain for compliant, government-grade tokenization solutions. And behind the scenes, Stellar was preparing for the inevitable future that almost nobody in crypto wanted to admit. A future where compliance isn't optional. They didn't fight it. They didn't pretend regulation was a fad that would disappear. They embraced it, and they designed their tech stack around it. That's why when Stellar started developing Soroban, their new smart contract platform, they didn't just copy Ethereum and slap a new coat of paint on it. They rebuilt smart contracts from the ground up, specifically to meet the needs of enterprises, financial institutions, and government bodies that require predictable costs, deterministic execution, compliance hooks baked into the system, speed and scalability without sacrificing security. Soroban isn't trying to be a playground for apes and yield farmers. It's built to be the enterprise-grade smart contract layer for the tokenized global economy. And here's the punchline most people still don't get. While the rest of the market fought over the leftovers of the last bull run, squeezing out one last meme pump or praying for another DeFi summer, Stellar was positioning itself for the next financial revolution. Not the crypto-native revolution. The institutional revolution. The one where trillions of dollars of real-world assets move onto blockchain rails. Not because it's trendy, but because it's more efficient, compliant, and inevitable. And now, after years of patience, quiet work, and deliberate positioning, the pieces are finally snapping into place. The partnerships are real. The infrastructure is live. The tech stack is ready. And the institutions are starting to wake up. Stellar didn't miss the last bull run. They skipped it on purpose. Because they weren't building for 2021. They were building for 2025 and beyond. And if you're paying attention, you can already see the signs of what's coming next. The institutional pipeline no one saw coming. Everyone talks about crypto adoption. Few understand what it actually looks like. Real adoption isn't number go up. It's infrastructure quietly integrating behind the scenes. And that's exactly what's happening with Stellar. Palago Labs, the trade finance Trojan horse. Palago Labs is Stellar's institutional arm focused on one thing: tokenizing trade finance. If you don't know, trade finance is a $5 trillion market. It's slow. It's paper-based. It's riddled with compliance and fraud issues. Palago Labs is changing that by turning invoices, bills of lading, and credit instruments into blockchain assets. Specifically, Soroban smart contracts. This isn't theoretical. They've already onboarded real-world businesses and started tokenizing real invoices. Imagine being a global shipping company. Instead of waiting 90 days for invoice payment, you tokenize it on Stellar, get instant liquidity from lenders, and settle in minutes, all while staying compliant. Multiply that by thousands of businesses. Millions of transactions. Billions of dollars. Now you see why Stellar is positioned like no other blockchain. MoneyGram and beyond. MoneyGram was just the start. Stellar now has on-ramps and off-ramps in 180 countries. They're building payment corridors that connect directly to the traditional financial system. With Soroban, they can now add programmability to those corridors, enabling instant lending, settlements, and even insurance products. And because Stellar was built for compliance from day one, they're already the preferred blockchain for partners who need to navigate KYC, AML, and financial regulations. While other chains chase hype, Stellar is securing the infrastructure for the next financial system. And it's happening faster than anyone realizes. Price action waking up, $3 target incoming? Expanded version. Now let's talk numbers, the part the skeptics love to ignore until it's too late. For the better part of the last 2 years, XLM has been written off by the market. Dormant. Forgotten. Left for dead. It's been frustrating even for the die-hard believers. Every mini-pump faded. Every rally attempt got smothered. It felt like no matter what fundamentals improved, price action just refused to wake up. But while everyone else was distracted by shiny objects, new meme coins, AI hype, layer 2 rotations, Stellar's chart was quietly building one of the cleanest, most powerful technical setups in the entire market. Here's what the smart money saw, long before the headlines started catching on. A massive multi-year falling wedge pattern. One of the most reliable bullish reversal patterns in technical analysis. Repeated bottoming signals. Higher lows forming under the radar, despite the broader market's noise. Key resistance levels getting attacked. Old zones that acted as impenetrable ceilings are now getting tested, and some already flipped into support. Volume quietly returning. Not retail chasing green candles. Real, heavy, institutional-grade volume trickling back into the order books. In short, the foundation for a massive move has been laid. It's not speculation anymore. It's structure. It's mechanics. And analysts are finally starting to take notice. Even heavy-hitting technical traders like BeCrypto, who has a strong track record of spotting early trend shifts, are publicly targeting a major upside move for XLM, specifically calling for a $2 to $3 price range during this cycle. Is that realistic? Let's break it down logically. At $3 per XLM, Stellar's total market cap would land somewhere around $80 to $90 billion. That's not some pie-in-the-sky number. That's roughly where XRP peaked during the 2018 bull run, and it's still miles below Ethereum's all-time high market caps during 2021. In other words, it's ambitious, but absolutely within historical precedent. And here's why it's even more realistic today than it was back then. Real-world demand is growing. Stellar isn't just hoping for speculation-driven demand like 2017 to 2021 projects. They're plugging into trade finance, cross-border payments, CBDC infrastructure, and enterprise tokenization. Tokenomics are stronger than ever. Stellar has a fixed supply of 50 billion XLM, with over half already in circulation, and no inflationary emissions flooding the market. They have the compliance credentials. Let's be real. In the next phase of crypto, regulatory compliance isn't optional. It's the price of admission. Stellar has spent years quietly earning its reputation among regulators, policymakers, and institutions, proactively working with global financial authorities, aligning network functionality with FATF guidelines and anti-money laundering standards, building architecture that can support KYC/AML requirements without compromising decentralization. While most layer 1s are scrambling to retrofit compliance into their ecosystems, or worse, ignoring it altogether, Stellar was designed from day one to navigate the real-world financial system. That's not just a nice-to-have. In the new era of crypto, it's going to be the deciding factor between projects that thrive and projects that die. And now, they have Soroban. For years, Stellar's one perceived weakness was its smart contract capabilities. Compared to Ethereum, Solana, and others, Stellar was seen as limited. Not anymore. Soroban is a game changer. Built with WebAssembly, WASM, for maximum speed and efficiency. Designed from scratch to handle real-world business logic, not just speculative DeFi loops. Engineered for predictability, low fees, and high scalability. With Soroban, Stellar is no longer just a payments network. It's a full-scale smart contract platform, capable of powering tokenized assets, enterprise-grade applications, real-world finance use cases, and global trade. And unlike most legacy smart contract chains that are bogged down by complexity, bloat, and sky-high fees, Soroban is optimized for the realities of business adoption. It's fast, it's cheap, it's scalable, and it's built for compliance and enterprise integration from the ground up. In a world where governments, banks, and multinational corporations are finally moving into blockchain at scale, Stellar isn't just relevant, it's essential. While 95% of crypto investors are still chasing the next memecoin or speculating on whatever's trending on Twitter, the smart money is moving differently. They're looking for real utility, institutional-grade infrastructure, compliance-ready networks, scalable, sustainable business models. And Stellar XLM checks every single one of those boxes, and then some. Most investors are still asleep. Most traders are still clinging to the old, dying narrative of endless speculative pumps. But the smart money? It's moving silently into the projects that are ready for the next decade. And Stellar is at the top of that list. If you're paying attention now, you're early. Way earlier than you probably realize. Because here's the reality. When CBDCs start moving on Stellar rails, when banks and fintechs start onboarding real-world assets through Soroban smart contracts, when governments choose Stellar as the infrastructure for aid, payments, and finance digitization, the window for cheap XLM will slam shut. And by the time everyone else wakes up, by the time the $2 to $3 targets are hit, by the time Stellar is getting mainstream headlines, it'll be too late to catch the easy gains. That's not fearmongering. That's just how cycles work. And the next one? It's going to be built on real adoption, not hype. Stellar XLM is ready. The question is, are you? Everyone slept on Stellar XLM. They ignored it. They laughed at it. They wrote it off. While the crowd was chasing hype coins, arguing over meme tokens, and panic selling into oblivion, Stellar was quietly setting the stage for something bigger. And now, everything is changing. Soroban is live. Not in theory, not on a testnet. A real smart contract platform, ready for real-world business, finance, and tokenization at scale. Institutions are building. Banks, payment giants, fintech disruptors, they're not talking about crypto anymore. They're moving into it. And a huge chunk of that activity is flowing straight into Stellar's orbit. The charts are waking up. After months, years, of consolidation, XLM's price action is flashing signals that only smart money is paying attention to right now. And here's the bigger picture. The world's financial system is inching closer to full-blown blockchain adoption. Central banks are going digital. Trade finance is being tokenized. Remittance rails are being rebuilt from the ground up. And Stellar has been preparing for this moment longer, harder, and smarter than almost anyone else. This isn't a last-minute pivot. It's not a hype move. It's not a gamble. It's the endgame Stellar has been building toward for nearly a decade. Don't sleep on it again. If you missed the first wave of Bitcoin, if you missed Ethereum under $100, if you missed XRP before the 2017 explosion, this is your wake-up call. Because what Stellar is positioning itself for isn't just a price rally. It's a seat at the table of the next generation of global finance. The opportunity is still here, but it won't be forever. So smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and lock in, because we're going to be tracking every move, every shift, and every breakout before the herd catches on. Because if you think the moves we're seeing now are big, if you think Stellar's recent momentum is impressive, you haven't seen anything yet. The next 12 to 18 months are going to change everything. And if you stay smart, stay prepared, and stay ahead, you won't just watch history being made. You'll be part of it. Stay smart, stay ahead, be crypto smart.